Well, Walt Disney would be proud if he heard all of this.
Walt Disney was very much a nerd,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
studied, and he had his animators,
right.
pencil and paper animators.
To come together, right?
He would bring in live animals to
Mhm.
study. That's
Right.
why they became so good at what they were doing, is because they really looked at how all of these things moved. They observed so many things. They
Right.
really studied this stuff before they figured out how to stretch and exaggerate and manipulate
Mhm.
parts of the body to create emotion to such an extent where uh, they can create a character with no face and still communicate emotion.
Right. They understood, and it's cool. Thinking to that when he was gathering the animators of how they built like the foundations of what animators took in the future, cartoons and shows. They came together. They're like, okay, I'm sure some people are like, well, the stretch is the important. No, we need this. And they came together to find out what is the.
Some of it was just flexing. Some of it was I forget the name of the actual animator, but there was one animator who had such a profound understanding of how a head moves and how animation, about how different images, still images, layered over time, can create an effect where he had a signature move in pen in drawing animation. I think it was called the head swaggle.
Okay.
And you'll recognize it because it's characters who basically talk like this while the mouth is moving. To be able to move the head in all of these directions and dimensions while speaking without missing the audio cue was an incredible flex, and was basically only able to be done by one artist at the time, who cornered the market on that. And so anytime he worked on a Disney film, right, he would always have the character do a head swaggle because literally no other animator could do it.
It was like his signature mark he was putting, like,
Yeah, but it came from their ability to understand precisely how all the layers of drawings would create a fluid, a dynamic, and most importantly, understandably clear expression of a character. It just all came together in such a way where I'm sorry that I forget his name, but you can probably look him up by Googling or searching head swaggle.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
I think
like Disney head swaggle.
Right. I think of like a Goofy or some kind of Pluto or some who knows?
Who did this? Was it? Is it Shere Khan the tiger in the Jungle Book?
Oh,
like where he does some of this,
right.
And like there's like a couple others. Like you'll see it. You'll see it.
That's interesting. Yeah. Oh yes. So I would like to ask you a question. My question is, for people watching, for people tuning in, the world, dancers, non-dancers, I don't know, everything, what is a message you would like to share with them? What is something you would like to share? And it could be about dance, it could be about animation, it could be totally not even related to that. But what would be a message if you had the attention of the world right now?
I mean, that's a pretty big question. I still think, in regards to animation, ultimately, I think no. In both terms of the question, within animation and outside the question, it can be summed up in two words: know thyself. A lot of the issues that we're experiencing in animation come from not having a clear understanding of what animation is collectively. We may individually have ideas, but it causes problems when we meet up and we recognize that the community is not on the same page. The same is true outside of animation, whether it's for your community or whether it's for yourself. Without the personal knowledge, of who it is that you are without really inspecting to a detailed degree a full understanding of yourself. We open ourselves up to not only just being misunderstood, but misrepresenting ourselves to ourselves, believing false things about ourselves, believing negative things about ourselves usually comes from this as well. When we really dive into negative beliefs, right, and recognizing how a lot of them are circular, when you ask yourself, where does this negative belief come from? A lot of times, the belief system that upholds it is circular. And so instead, your consciousness or your mind will just say, oh, I don't want to question that because of course it's true. Of course I'm bad at this, or of course everyone feels this way about me, or of course I'll never be that thing that I want, right? It will attempt to make you not look at it because beliefs are self-reinforcing. And that's the way it reinforces itself. But if you actually dig to the bottom of that scenario, if you actually uncover the belief that suggests that this is appropriate, that this is the correct response, most of the time you'll find an answer that is completely nonsensical. And then you'll realize that you have been living according to a false belief, not just a negative belief about yourself, but a false belief about yourself that has actively kept you from things that you've wanted. And so whatever your goals are, whatever your dreams are, really understanding the truth about yourself, asking yourself, what is true? What is true for you? Do you really believe that? Is that what you say, is how you talk to yourself the way you want to be talked to? Is how you treat others the way you personally want to be treated, right? Like really knowing these values, what they are, and with as much specificity as you can, I think will greatly help you understand more about what can be done, why, and make sense of certain moments in your life that may have otherwise, up until that moment, not made sense, and can be used as an inspiration to help other people through similar times, similar ideas. All of it just comes down to not just the awareness of yourself, but being willing to take action on it. So it's that 1-2 punch of like, know thyself, and then do something about it.
Yes.
Right. So whether it's an animation or whether you're figuring out things from your past, things from your future, things in the present, whatever it is, really dig to the most simple understanding that you have, and then act on that to the greatest degree of ability that you can.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well said.
Yeah.
Thank you, Clocks, for being here and for sharing.
Of course. Of course. Thank you for having me.